Southern Africa is experiencing severe issues of hunger and malnutrition, worsened by environmental challenges and socioeconomic constraints. The region is particularly vulnerable to natural disasters such as cyclones, which overwhelm agricultural production and livelihoods. Countries like Mozambique, Malawi, and Zimbabwe frequently face the impact of these disasters, leading to widespread food insecurity. The Global Report on Food Crisis shows that the number of people facing high levels of acute food insecurity in 11 countries in Southern Africa in 2023 are 44.9 million people. In Madagascar, 80% of children under 5 are stunted, which means that out of every 10 children, 8 are stunted. Other countries that are doing badly on stunting include Lesotho at 46.4%, Mozambique at 37%, Malawi at 35.5%, Zambia at 34.6%, Eswatini at 30.5%, Tanzania at 30%, and Zimbabwe 26.7%, as stipulated in the AUC Malabo report of 2023. Public social accountability refers to the involvement of the public or citizenry in holding various entities accountable for their actions, decisions, and use of resources within society. In the year 2016, the Partnership for Social Accountability, or PSA Alliance, was formed by a regional consortium led by ActionAid International, Eastern and Southern Africa Small-Scale Farmers Forum, Esaff, Public Service Accountability Monitor, and SAfAIDS that works collaboratively with partners at local, national, and regional levels. The main objective of the PSA Alliance is to improve accountability and gender responsiveness in public resource management, or PRM, particularly in health services for adolescents and youth. Another objective is related to agricultural services for smallholder farmers and advocacy towards realization of regional commitments across the 5 project countries.
The PSA project is implemented in 5 countries: Zambia, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Malawi, and Tanzania.
Esaff, a lead in agriculture public accountability, has successfully tackled public resource management challenges in the key areas of lack of prioritization of smallholder farmers' needs in the development of regional and national policies, lack of regional and national oversight on the implementation of regional policies, and little or no national investment in supporting agroecological practices. To address this matter, Esaff embarked on 3 goals to ensure that number 1, smallholder farmers and civil society are provided with platforms for engagement with policymakers and lawmakers at regional, national, and district levels. Number 2, regional and national oversight bodies regularly assess implementation and impact of regional policies. And number 3, implementation of regional policies in favor of agroecology. In the creation of platforms for engagement, the PSA Alliance worked on the institutionalization of the SADC RISDP regional dialogues, which provided platforms for farmers and non-state actors in the SADC region to discuss and deliberate on issues concerning public social accountability in the agricultural sector. The PSA project and partners including SADC, CNGO, SATUC, SADC Parliamentary Forum, and others use these platforms to reflect, analyze, and advocate for the agricultural transformation that reflects the needs of smallholder farmers, both men and women, and agroecology. The platforms also used to share analysis on the SADC performance in the Malabo biennial review reports and the implementation of the SADC RSIDP 2020 to 2030. These meetings were held in Eswatini in 2016, Johannesburg in 2018, in Zambia in 2019, as well as in Johannesburg in 2023, with 5 countries connecting virtually, which are Malawi, Tanzania, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. The communique was shared with Esaff members, presented to the government officials and media at national level. In 2023, Seychelles Farmers Association presented the communique to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the organization was invited to be part of the SADC National Committee. In 2019, during the making of the new RSIDP, PSA advocacy led to the elevation of the agricultural agenda within the SADC RISDP 2020 to 2030. Esaff and ActionAid called for the elevation of the agricultural sector to Pillar 1 on industrial development and market integration. In the previous SADC RISDP 2015 to 2020, the agricultural sector was under cross-cutting issues. In 2024, in order to ensure farmers' key concerns are reflected in the Post-Malabo Agenda 2026 to 2025, the PSA project through Esaff mobilized small-scale farmers in the region to develop a position regarding the Post-Malabo Agenda, in which various issues by farmers were agreed to be presented to the African Union, which include putting smallholder farmers at the center of agri-food systems, ensuring investment for rural infrastructure, social services, and good governance, mainstreaming food sovereignty and agroecology in the African agri-food system in the post-Malabo, recognition and support for the informal cross-border traders, especially women and youth, and that the Kampala Declaration of 2026 to 2035 should be ratified and financed at regional economic groupings and also at national level. The PSA consortium also produced various advocacy communication materials, which include the Malabo Biannual Review Report, advocacy calendars in 2018, 2020, 2022, and 2024. The consortium also produced agricultural policy briefs titled Southern Africa in the Blink of Famine in 2020, another on SADC RISDP 2020 to 2030, How Will Small-Scale Farmers Benefit in the Region, and a fact sheet on performance in financing, extension, seed, and research in Tanzania, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and Zambia, Policy Brief, SADC Performance, BR Report 2023, and a policy brief on SADC Agricultural Advisory and Extension Strategy. All these publications were used to inform farmers on how the region performed and advocate for good performance in financing, extension, seed and gender, and climate change. During the implementation of the project, the PSA Alliance also worked to create platforms for engagement with policy and lawmakers at national level. The PSA consortium also created space for farmers and non-state actors to engage at national level between 2016 and 2024. In 2022 in Tanzania, Esaff partnered with local NGOs as well as the Southern Africa Trust, GIZ, and the Sustainable Development Goals Center for Africa to work towards formation of the Tanzania NSA Forum on SADC integration. The forum spearheaded the call for establishment of SADC National Committee in Tanzania as required by the SADC Charter. The forum engaged the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the United Republic of Tanzania, SADC PF members, and the Parliamentary Committee on Security and Foreign Affairs. In Zambia in April 2023, Esaff Zambia through the PSA formed Zambia NSA Platform on SADC regional integration at national level to enhance the position of farmers and non-state actors within the Zambia SADC National Committee, particularly on issues regarding agriculture.
Where do you place yourself in such a conversation? You are adding value to these mechanisms because they exist for SADC citizens.
We now need to find a way to better organize the SADC National Committee, which is what Zimbabwe is working on.
Key stakeholders must be involved. So you can see the different levels of institutional requirements for this SADC National Committee.
If we continuously change parliamentarians who represent you in everyone very well. Integrating the voices of NSAs into SADC agenda is a step towards greater inclusivity.
The platforms established will continue working on the matters of regional integration beyond the project. During the implementation of the project, the PSA consortium also worked to create platforms for engagement with policy and lawmakers at district level. In Tanzania, at district level, Esaff and Mwivata, a network of small-scale farmer groups in Tanzania, supported the establishment of the PETS Committee in Mvomero district in Tanzania. The PETS Committee made by farmers led to the increase of district budget allocation to the agricultural sector.
Tuliweza kufanya mafunzo kwanza kwa wanachama wa Mviwata kutoka katika kata mbalimbali katika wilaya ya Mvomero. pamoja na watu wa serikali pia ambao wanapatikana hapa halmashauri. Tuliweza kufanikiwa kuibua miradi mbalimbali ambayo wakulima wakasema tunataka tufuatilie miradi hii, na wakafanya hivyo, na tukaweza kufanya kikao cha mrejesho pia, nini ambacho wakulima wameweza kukipata katika huo ufuatiliaji wao.
Tukaona kupitia mafunzo ya umapesa kutoka 0.3 hatimaye baada ya kuendelea kukutana na halmashauri na viongozi mbalimbali ikapandishwa mpaka kufikia 3%, na hatimaye leo inaelekea mpaka 4%.
Also, the PETS Committee interventions saw 9 stalled projects for years, completed after farmers' engagement. These projects included market structure, irrigation schemes, and a tomato collection center. In Zambia, Monza district, Esaff Zambia organized meaningful participation of smallholder farmers that led to agricultural budget increase from 2% in 2020 to 6.7% in 2022-2023. Some of the uncompleted structures were financed and completed after the PETS Committee's advocacy. These projects include goat rearing in Malundu and Market Shield in Chona. The PSA consortium also successfully worked to address the regional and national oversight on the implementation of regional policies. In addressing the oversight issues, the PSA project contributed to speed up the transformation of the SADC Parliamentary Forum, or SADC-PF, from a forum to a legislative body. A learning tour was organized by the PSA Alliance in September of 2018, whereby a SADC Parliamentary Forum delegation of 5 people visited the Arusha-based Eastern Africa Legislative Assembly. The visit contributed to the momentum building towards transformation of SADC-PF into a full legislative body. In 2019, during the SADC Heads of State Summit in Tanzania, a communique of the summit instructed the SADC Secretariat to commence the process of transforming the SADC Parliamentary Forum into a full legislative body. Already between 2018 and 2022, the SADC Parliamentary Forum Committee on Food, Agriculture and Natural Resources Standing Committee members had considered and acted on issues related to the impact of climate change on agriculture and food security.
We have a responsibility both at a national and regional level to ensure that we promote agroecology agriculture systems for sustainable food supply. Through our oversight function, we must interrogate our national budgets and foreign contributions to ensure that they are channeled towards agriculture development and climate change adoptions.
In June 2022, in Tanzania, Esaff partnered with ActionAid Tanzania to engage SADC Parliamentary Forum members, together with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, on the establishment of the SADC National Committee in Tanzania, the operationalization of the SADC Agricultural Development Fund, and the realization of the CAADP Malabo goals in agriculture. It was agreed that the SADC Parliamentary Forum representatives should establish linkages with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in executing and feedbacking on their duties. One of the objectives of the PSA Alliance was to work to address challenges concerning little or no national investment in supporting agroecological practices in the SADC countries. Under this goal, the PSA Alliance worked successfully towards the implementation of regional policies in favor of agroecological approaches. In 2022, the PSA Alliance developed the Agroecology Financing Analysis Tool, or AFAT, to assist members in their assessment of public financing for agriculture, with a focus on identifying the current levels of support, investment and commitment to agroecological transitions and climate-resistant and gender-responsive agricultural practices. Studies were commissioned on agroecology financing in Southern African member states. The findings show that nearly 49.2% of funding for RAIP programs was contributed by member states, albeit this is very little in quantum terms, as SADC member states' contribution to agroecology was estimated to be $453,296 for the year 2023-2024. Overall, the performance of the RAIP of funding allocated towards agroecology was poor. The analysis showed that Malawi allocated 12%, Tanzania 9%, Zambia and Zimbabwe allocated only 7.4% respectively. In July 2024, in order to influence the new SADC Agricultural Advisory and Extension Services strategy, Esaff, through the PSA Alliance, produced a policy brief with key issues that should be considered when developing the regional strategy. These issues include putting smallholder farmers at the center, agroecology and farmer-managed seed systems with gender lenses as well as digital extension. The Alliance also worked with GIZ Botswana to review the SADC Regional Agriculture Investment Plan of 2017 to 2022 and participation in the new SADC RAIP 2024 to 2030. Esaff and partners are to work to ensure that the coming SADC RAIP mainstreams agroecology practices in the food system. In order to ensure agroecology is reflected in the Kampala Declaration of 2026 to 2035, Esaff, through the PSA project, partnered with AFSA and others, calling for the mainstreaming of food sovereignty and agroecology in the African agri-food system in the post-Malabo.
So, therefore, our guidance from a technical standpoint, we should defer this matter to the next STC in October, November next year, when evidence has been collected, documented, presented and shared with member states ahead of time to show that this approach actually works, and this is what the continent ought to consider.
Despite challenges, smallholder farmers are the last line of defense on agroecology practices in Africa. The PSA Alliance made significant strides in championing social accountability across the SADC region. Through well-targeted advocacy, influencing, capacity building and strategic partnerships, the Alliance has empowered communities to demand transparency and responsiveness from governments. By setting a strong foundation, the PSA Alliance has not only raised a culture of accountability at various levels, but also laid the groundwork for sustainable development. These achievements demonstrate the power of collective actions in transforming governance systems and ensuring the voices of the most vulnerable are heard, heeded to, respected, and implemented. The work done by the PSA Alliance is a beacon, illuminating the path forward for communities, policymakers, and civil society as they continue to strive for a more equitable and just society.